Hi everyone, and thanks for joining us today. My name is Jesse and I'm an application engineer here at Markforged Systems, and in this Markforged focus video we'll be covering the alpha release of some new Metal X support structure options that have been added to the Eiger software. So as a baseline, let's first take a look at how the default support structures are formed when printing a Metal X part. As an extrusion-based machine, Metal X parts are formed layer by layer in the Z direction until all geometry is complete, as you can see in this short example. By default, Eiger will place support structures under any overhanging geometry to prevent poor part quality. Since support structures are made up of the same base metal material, Eiger places a ceramic release layer in between supports and part geometry, as you can see here. To get a better look at the toolpath of support structures, you can go to the internal view of an Eiger part and turn off visibility for all display options except for support material and ceramic release. Here you can see where supports will be placed and where the ceramic release barriers are. Once parts are completely printed and centered, the ceramic barrier will vaporize, making the separation of supports from your actual part easy. As with other extrusion-based machines, simple additive manufacturing practices such as changing overhangs to be self-supporting can go a long way towards eliminating supports. That being the case, not all geometry can be modified to eliminate the need for supports, and some supports may not be very easy to remove due to part structure. So let's go over the first option that Markforged has added by taking a look at this cylindrical part. So if we take a look at the internal view of this example part, we can see that the support structures that hold up the overhanging geometry are surrounding the central cylinder. Even though the supports are separated from part geometry by the ceramic release material, the shape of the part itself will prevent the supports from being removed in their current state. To avoid the need for any sort of major redesigns in situations like this, Markforged has added the Radial Support option, which we'll select here. Radial supports separate all of the support structures of your part into even breaks, which originate by default from the center of your part. You can think of this like separating support structures into slices. The radial cut slider that we'll use here changes the number of slices, and we'll change that to 4 cuts for this example. If needed, you can also use the overlay transform tools in conjunction with measurements taken from your CAD software to change the origin point or rotation of these radial cuts. Once we've made our desired changes, we simply need to resave the part to apply our new settings. To confirm that the supports can now be easily removed, all we need to do is go to the internal view of our part and navigate to a layer that has supports. As you can see, the radial cuts extend from the center of our part and into the 4 pieces that we specified. Once the part is completely printed and centered, this will make them easy to remove. To go over the second support option that has been added, let's open up this next example part. As you can see from the cross-section of this part, it has a fairly large internal cavity, but doesn't have an opening large enough to remove the supports that would be needed for the overhanging roof layers. Radial cuts may not give us the results we need, so we've changed these support structures to the new cubic supports option. This changes the support structures into cubes of whatever size we specify. From our CAD software, we know that this opening is around 10 millimeters in width, so we've set the size of our support cubes to 5 millimeters to make sure that they can be removed easily. To see how this impacts our internal supports, let's go back to the internal view and turn off everything except for supports and the ceramic release barriers. As you can see here, this option allows each cube to still be separated from actual geometry with the ceramic release barrier, while giving us results that are better suited for this part. The last option that we'll take a look at is the ability to add manual horizontal release layers. To do that, we'll open this example part that has a hook-shaped through channel. Due to the shape of this through channel, both radial and cubic support structures may still be difficult to remove. Like with our previous parts, we'll go to the internal view to see how supports will be printed. As we talked about earlier, ceramic release layers are typically placed by Eiger in between support structures and part geometry. This final supports option lets us manually place a ceramic release layer into support geometry, which separates them in the Z direction after the part is centered. To make the supports of this part easier to remove, we'll look to manually place a release layer around this area. All we need to do to accomplish this is switch to the 2D view of our part, navigate to the layer that we want, and select the Insert Release Layer option. Doing this will place a layer of release material in between the prior and following layer of supports. This means that they won't be fused together after they center. If we switch back to our 3D view, you can see that a release layer has been placed here. We could potentially add other release layers to different areas of the supports to make sure that they would be easily removed, but for now all we need to do is click Save to apply our changes. With these changes saved, the part is ready to print. Thanks for watching everyone, and I hope you found this informative. Feel free to check out our website and YouTube channel for other 3D printing related content.